All right, last little part of chapter 13 here is what we were talking about with that least one in the last problem. Is a good thing to remember that is usually or can be easier to work with the complement of an event we're really interested in, especially when the event we're interested in is complex, like at least one red. Remember, that could be 1 red, 2 red, 3 reds, 4 reds, 5 reds on any different days of the week. There's a lot, that's a complex event. There's a lot of ways that could occur. So it's probably easier to work with the complement instead. The phrase at least one is often a tip-off to think about the complement. Make sure you know happening at least once is the complement of not happening at all. Later on, we'll also look at what would be the probability of at least 2. That could be a question, at least 2. And you don't really have too many of those right now, but the complement of that would be not 0 or 1. For at least 2 would be not 0 or 1. Kind of think about what that means. Make sure you read through what can go wrong and what have we learned. This is one of the biggest errors students make, so I bolded that and it's in highlight. Same thing with addition rule and disjoint events. Make sure they're disjoint to use that addition rule. Don't confuse disjoint and independent. This means don't happen at the same time. This means one event occurring has no effect on the other. Disjoint events are never independent. Disjoint events cannot be independent because disjoint means if you know A occurred, B cannot occur. So A occurring actually does change the B occurring, which means they're not independent. We'll do that again. We'll talk more about that in the next chapter. Also, go through the quick little recap of what have we learned, your AP tip, and please make sure to do a couple of practice problems from 13 before moving into 14. If you can see here, 14 is very similar to 13. It's why I've combined them, but we generalize those rules. So before we get into that I call it a fix. Before we get into that fix, please go practice a couple of problems from 13. Just really make sure you know that when we want an or, we want you to add. We want an and, we want you to multiply. And make sure you kind of get that these need to be disjoint and these need to be independent.